Hello, everyone, and welcome to Chats with Chumi. I am Chumi. I am very excited about today's topic. I have these two gentlemen with me today. I'm John, and I have Samora. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
I'd like a little intro before we start.
I'm John. I am taller in real life. The camera makes me shorter. And that. I'm a husband. I'm a father of one. I work also a churchgoer and an avid sports supporter.
Okay. Well, Samora is Samora. I'm a 35-year-old man. I'm married, father, churchgoer. I work. And yeah, it's good to be here.
Who makes the rules in your house, John?
I like to think that I do, but it's my life. It's my life. Yeah.
Samora, who makes the rules?
I break the rules. My wife tomorrow tells me that I break the rules.
Samora, what's the one thing guests should never open in your house?
Okay, the toilet. What? Okay, wait. Edit that.
You started the toilet.
Okay, it's the toilet. It's the toilet.
When you hear home, what does it mean to you personally?
So, I think to me, the one thing that it means, it means the physical home where I am. However, it's the people in that home. And I mean that as almost like it's who I'm letting into my home, both physically and just almost when I'm at work and I'm having a stressful day and someone's getting to me, do I bring that into the home the moment I step in the door? So my home is the physical home and what we bring in there. You know, it's we are a Christian home, so we will have non-Christian people in the house, you know, and just using that as ability to explain to our son, you know, not everyone does it, but we still do it in that. So I do see it as the physical home, but it's like, you know, what we're bringing in there as individuals and who we're inviting in.
I like that. And for you, Samara?
Yeah, I think it's quite a difficult question. I was thinking about it, but you know, like what immediately came into mind was, you know, I've got a very stressful job, so every time I come home, the physical home, and I see my daughter, I see my wife, just it fills me with such peace. So it's that physical place, but it also the people bring warmth and love into your life where you've had a hard day, and they just lift the burdens off your shoulders, and you feel that warmth once you get in.
I love that warmth and love.
Yeah, so it's a physical actual home, but it's also the people who, when you've had a difficult day and a hard day, you fill you with warmth and love.
People that you come home to.
Exactly.
Is home a place, a feeling, or does it feel like a responsibility?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of everything, because like I think as a father, you feel such a sense of responsibility in that to provide for your child, for your wife, for your home, and provide a home for them. But it's also that feeling of as I said, warmth and love that you want to go to. So I'd say it's a bit of both of everything in that.
And for you, John?
Yeah, spot on. I think it is everything. It is a place. It is that responsibility to make it a space, and a responsibility that to make it a space of love and warmth. You know, how I walk through the door at the day is going to have an impact on how the household is, how my wife walks into the door. So, but that comes back to responsibility.
Yeah, and it's exactly what it's supposed to be. That's what I'm gathering from you, gentlemen, that it is supposed to be a responsibility. It is supposed to be a place. It's supposed to feel like a place because it is a home at the end of the day. Have you ever felt lonely inside your home? And what does that look like?
I have felt lonely. I think, to be completely open and honest, when my son was born, it was a very tough time for me. And I was lonely in my head. I was surrounded by people and love and that, but it was lonely, and it's scary. It's not you're missing the joys, but once again, responsibility. I realized what was going on. I went to a doctor, I sorted myself out, and made it unlonely. So it's a horrible place to be, lonely. And now, I've never felt lonely then. But it's a responsibility on me that if I see triggers, to speak to my wife, to speak to my circle, to speak to my family. Yeah.
And not being like, no, I'm the tough guy. I'm gonna get
No. It's like
That's not nice.
it's probably the first time I have opened up about it outside of my immediate home. But I mean, you have to. I mean, a lot of people go through the struggles,
Exactly. You
yeah.
can't run away from the struggles. Yeah. You go through them. And I think it's so beautiful that you faced your struggles. You didn't run away from that.
Yeah, but I think the most beautiful thing is I overcame the struggles with a mixture of family, God, medication.
Beautiful.
Antidepressants, like I believe it's a gift from God that He's enabled medicines there, but not just saying that I'm just going to take, like, what does it mean to me? Like, why is this happening? Yes, medication can help, but also my religion, my faith, the relationship with my wife, like building on that.
And again, that goes back to you taking responsibility of your home. You did exactly that.
Well, God told me I must do that, so yeah.
And Samara?
Oh wow! Thank you for opening up, John. That's it's encouraging. I think for me, when I fight with my wife, yeah, if I'm being also completely honest, it's because now it's either she'll look that way and I look this way. I sometimes initiate the silent treatment, which is very sinful on my part. Just those fights are the worst. And in a marriage, it's just understanding, like right now we're currently doing counseling with my wife and trying to sort those things out. And it's so helpful because you realize that you're not the only one, first of all, that there's problems in marriages in general, and that you should always seek professional help and just be able to speak to people who are older than you in the faith, who've been married for a while, to guide you guys. So I think the most lonely times have been when I fight with my wife and we have marital issues and we are not communicating, and then all both stuck in our own little shells. No one wants to reach out to the other person to seek peace.
Sure, thank you for that. I think what I'm gathering is you basically saying that seeking counseling when you go through that is important. Yeah, because you are building a home at the end of the day. You are responsible. It teaches us that at the end of the day, we are all human. We go through things. I may have responsibility, but we go through things. And just to add on both of your views is that God does give us help us with counsel, right? Because it's God first, and then we have to seek counsel, right? As leaders of your separate homes, what pressures do you feel that people don't see?
Oh wow, that's for me a very, like right now, the pressure I'm feeling is to be able to buy a house, basically, like a house that's mine. And it's that financial pressure of being able to provide in an expensive city and take your child to a good preschool or creche. And so I think for me that's the one of the biggest ones, but also the spiritual leadership in my own home. Where, before I had my daughter, I thought I'd, put her to bed every night with a story, how like they do in the movies. But sometimes I'm at work, I'm not able to be there, come from work, I'm tired. So the spiritual leadership of the home, of my daughter and my wife as well, I am not where I should be. So that's just the financial aspect and the spiritual, being a spiritual head and leader in my house.
And for you, John?
So I think my pressures are similar, a little bit different. So I am very career orientated, but I leave work every day at 4:00, and I try not to open my laptop after work. And I do it very few times, maybe 4 or 5 times this year. And that's difficult because, there's expectation at work that, your dad, yes, you got a wife and a husband, but the wife should be looking after, it's almost implied in some things. And to be strict on myself there and to be like, no, I made this commitment. So that's a pressure. And I think biggest pressure is probably balance. Like I always feel like somewhere I'm not where I should be. At the moment, it is spiritually sometimes, not there, and then when that's going right, and then sometimes, things with my wife, maybe going through a bit tough. So it's, just getting that perfect balance, but also realizing you're probably never going to get a perfect balance, and you just got to be striving for perfection the whole time.
That was deep and very beautiful. Do you ever feel like you have to be strong even when you feel tired?
All the time. Yeah, all the time. That's because when you're tired, it's normally when everyone else in the household is tired. And then you also just got to take a little step up there. So, yeah.
It's normal to be tired.
Yeah, especially I think as a dad as well. I mean, you're the superhero. You're the one who plays with the kids, and bring the energy into the house. And so for me, like I always feel like I'm letting my house down, where my wife down when I am, tired, or like on a Saturday I just like to sleep the whole day and watch football, and it's like recuperate from the week. But the family needs me. I need to go out to the park with them, spend some time with them, and do all sorts of things. Yeah, so you need to show up as a husband, even when you don't feel like. Sometimes I feel that pressure.
Do you ever communicate it?
Yes, often, but there'll always be something with my wife. There'll always be something.
But it is, you said something.
Yeah.
But big ups to you though for for being tired on a Saturday and being like, actually, let's go to the park and doing that, because that feeling of like when you're tired and you can't keep your eyes open, and then you got to get energy and run after them.
Oof.
Yeah,
My word.
Yeah, I respect that.
Yeah.
Well done.
Have you ever felt you are failing in your household, or were failing in your household?
Sure.
Hey man, it's your turn to go first.
It's difficult. I know, but I think for me, in terms of like failure, it's like, to be honest, I feel like I'm failing every day. If I'm being perfectly honest, you feel like you're not. It's like you're not doing enough, and it's not that my wife tells me that or anybody. I think we have expectations of ourselves and the society around us, and you just feel like you're not making it as it should be. Yeah, like I'm being vague. I'm not being specific. But I do feel like I'm not, meeting the expectations that I set for myself and what's expected for me in society.
I think I'm so touched with what you just said. Thank you for sharing that.
I feel like I want to give you a hug. Yeah, that's amazing.
Because that is exactly how you feel. That is where you are at the moment. Yo, Samora, okay. I also feel like you. John.
Yeah, I think it goes back to, I think where I'm struggling with is the balance, of having everything right, and by its nature, by not meeting that, I do feel like I am failing. I think what I have done as well is I've also got to look at, not look at things as binary. It's either like you're a failure or you're not a failure. It's to be like, what, this aspect, it's not 100% at the moment, but I got the other two aspects. So I have done that to make it better, because that feeling of like failure the whole time, I just can't have it pervade my thoughts, because then it's going to go, if you believe I'm failing, then I'm setting that benchmark for myself. So, but I think very similar thought process to you is, you do feel it, but I'm working on it.
What is the one mistake that you have made and has taught you something?
Damn, these are tough questions.
Sure. So
taught you something important.
So I'm going to be once again very, very open and.
Do I need to get tissues?
No, that's not that. So I think. I was very big on waiting for marriage with my wife, and we didn't. And even though we got married and we love each other, that's one thing. Like I've just realized it's something in the back of my mind. Like, how much our marriage is amazing and we love each other, but how much more amazing would it have been? And that's something I can never know. So that would probably be, something. So yeah.
No.
Probably, yeah. So it's, but then again, there's a lesson in that, so when my son's old enough to tell him the importance, to tell him the almost not the wouldn't say regret, but just like the what if, and that's, that's probably,
Sure. And for you, Samara?
For me, I think it's the words that I say to my wife when we're fighting. Like, we use very strong language. Because the thing is, each person's secrets and vulnerabilities, and so in our sinfulness at that moment, you bring up all the bad things that that's gonna hurt her, and you just, I think for me and then it takes so much longer to actually get over that fight, because you've used so many bad instances or memories that she has. I think that's
I also can't imagine how hard that actually must be for the both of you.
Yeah, it's sad. I think just to also be a bit more open is, when on the ride to where we were going before we came here. Even yesterday, we were coming back from work. I'm tired. I'm like, baby, let's open a movie and just cuddle. It's like, I'm not ready yet, because we just had a fight a few days ago. And it's like, it's those things that you don't expect. You're just talking at that time, but actually really hurting someone, and then it's so much harder to actually get over that and come together as a couple.
Sure. And how do you handle conflict in your household?
So my wife and I, we're very different. I like to, there's conflict, let's talk about it, let's resolve it. Where she's more doesn't want to speak about it, doesn't want to resolve it, and there we clash. So it's something we're still getting to grips with. How we're dealing with that conflict. But typically, I want to sort it out right there, and let's move forward. But I've learned, just take a day or two, let Chloe just, process from her side, and then we speak about it, at a time and a place when it is right to speak about it. So we do speak about it. We do speak about conflict, it's not that we stray away from it. We do speak about it, and we do quite successfully tend to move beyond it. But I think also, Samora mentioned, sometimes the way I'll talk about it, I would maybe be using vulnerability sometimes. But I have been very conscious of not doing that, because I do want it to be pragmatic and forward moving.
And I think that it's also important to understand that we are, at the end of the day, yes, we are one, but also we are different individuals. I internalize things differently, and I think it's also important to always remind ourselves that it's important for me to hear your perspective, and it's important for me to hear the other one's perspective, sort of like understand. Like you mentioned that Chloe handles this way and I also handle this way, and I think it wouldn't be the best to sort of have that bigger expectation from the other person, which would then add unnecessary pressure to what already is going on.
I'm the avoider, and she's the one who wants to fix things right now. But it's, to be honest, for me, what I feel like it's both sides work, in that sometimes you need to cool down and just take time and cool heads and then talk later. And sometimes you need to talk then, and so it's a mixture of a bit of both. But I generally tend to avoid and not want to talk about it, and rather move on. And that's not helpful at all, because you need to talk about it at some point.
Sure.
Yeah.
What's the most dramatic moment that happened in your home over something small?
Getting you guys to think.
I think for me it was And we're actually supposed to go for this marriage seminar, my wife and I, and we had been going, I think it was the last day, or it was going to be at dinner or something, and my wife wasn't feeling well. And for me, I selfishly thinking, oh, you just don't want to go. We already promised people, so I in essence put the other people's feelings and things ahead of my wife, and it just blew up. And yeah, it was just, and I was just so selfish about it. I ended up not going, and we just had a big fight, and it took a couple of days for us to resolve it. But it was just me not putting my wife first at that time, believing that she wasn't well, and so it was over a little thing. It just blew up into a whole big thing. Yeah.
I'm actually proud of you for realizing that, you came back and you're like, it was me actually who wasn't. Sure. And what about you, John?
So I can't think of a specific scenario, but there has been occasions before when it's been a stressful time in the house. I've been quite busy, Chloe's been quite busy, and some will be at the dinner table, and our little son is very active and boisterous, and he would do something that maybe, he did something that he annoyed my wife, and my wife had a reaction was a bit more than was expected, but it's fine, it's a stressful time. But I was almost like this always happens, it's always such a small thing, and now you make it such a big thing, which is ironic because she was doing the exact same thing that I was annoyed. I was doing the exact same thing that she was doing, and I was getting annoyed by that. So, and then it sort of triggers, and then it's almost like where things have been building up a little bit, and you just haven't done it. So that would probably be. So I can't think of one occasion, but that has happened, once or twice. Quite shamefully, I look at myself and I'm like, yes, I get. We are. It's that sinful nature is hard.
What's the survival secret hack that you have at your home? Do you have any?
I think for me is, with especially with keeping the house, is when the baby's playing and the toys are all over the place, just leave them there. Because you're gonna come and play tomorrow as well. Just don't clean up, leave those toys there. For me, because the thing is, you clean up, you're tired and all these things, and just for I know it's wrong, for my own sanity, just leave the toys there. She'll wake up tomorrow, especially when it's the weekend, and just leave the toys out and the kids will play. You don't have to clean up. That's bad. I know it's bad.
And for you, John?
Sleeping in separate beds. No, I'm joking. we sleep in the same bed. Honestly, the one thing that has been a little hack is allowing the other one to get time for exercise. Exercise does wonders for the brain. So, just allowing that ability. Like this morning, Chloe went for a run and allowing that. In the evening, sometimes I'll go for a cycle and just being graceful with your time and saying, you go for a run, have fun, and I'll look after and play with Philip, the little one. So that's a hack, the exercise. Although it's not working, but it's baby steps.
What atmosphere are you intentionally trying to build?
I've been very intentional on making it a relaxed environment coming home. So just identifying when there's a little bit too much stress in it, whether it's coming from me, from Chloe, from Philip, and just being nipping it in the bud, just to keep the atmosphere relaxed, because home is meant to be a relaxed atmosphere. So that's the atmosphere I'm trying to push for.
Wow, very recently, I need to put this in a politically correct manner. So when how can I put this? When my wife is not, when she's angry, basically, it's trying not to pay attention to how she expresses that anger, but actually what she's saying and listening to what she's saying, and then just leaving it for that moment, and then coming back later and with a calm and very reasonable response. So, for example, she'll say, "You didn't do this, blah blah blah." How she expressed it, relaxed about that. Then later on, coming back, but then how you said that and how you did this. Because most of the time she spends time with the daughter, and then she's very stressed out, and then I come home, I'm also stressed out from work, and then it just compounds and becomes this stress in the house. But trying not to let how she expresses her frustrations bother me and my response towards her, because she's had the bulk of the work with the baby the whole day. Yeah, so just being intentional in that, not letting words shape how, as important as they are, how I react to her. Yeah,
right.
That's it's a difficult one.
Yeah, it is. What do you want your children or your partner to carry from your home?
Yeah, that's for me. That scripture when Abraham prays for Ishmael, that may he always be before your sight. So that's my prayer for my daughter. May she always be before the sight of God. Sometimes I'll just be playing with her and just maybe put my hand on her and just pray for her, that may she know the Lord Jesus Christ from a very young age. That would be the greatest gift that she can carry from my home, that may the God of her parents become her God.
I think very similar. We very much want him to be a Christian, but also to know that home, wherever that is, like wherever we are, even if we're living in different countries, like, knowing he can come back home when he's made a mistake. Because I do, he's a boy, he's going to go out, and I've made mistakes, but I want him to know to come back home and, almost use that as a metaphor, like, you're coming back home because it's safe here. There's a bigger home for you to go back and feel safe to. So, like, using that as ability to keep your eyes on Christ. But, like doing that in the house, so you can see that. Yeah.
If you had a theme song in your home, what would it be?
It's a tough one.
Something with Madagascar where everything's just crazy and
we actually sometimes my wife likes to play gospel, and she'll play it, especially on the weekends, and we'll just all dance around. She loves to dance. Oh, she loves to dance. But I don't know the specific song names and stuff. Yeah, but we dance quite a bit. Yeah.
I didn't know that about Kanyisa, now I do.
Oh my goodness. Such fun times,
Okay, John, I need you to finish this sentence for me. In my house, we
do have fun. We do, which is important, That's like, you gotta have fun, you gotta laugh every day, and that we do have fun.
And for you, Samara?
We do eat. We're not starving. God provides.
Sure. That brings us to the end of today's episode. I really want to say thank you deeply, gentlemen, for being open and being so honest. And I truly, truly appreciate that. So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us, and thank you more as well. It's like, it's good hearing another man's perspective and
thank you, John.
Knowing you're not alone in certain struggles. So it's good. Thank you.
It's good meeting you as well.
You too, and Chumi for bringing it out of us. Men, we're often in our shell, but allowing us to speak about it does help. So thank you.
And some of the things we were talking about now was the first time opening up to someone.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Are we going to go cry and hug in the parking lot? No.